this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Well, welcome to Red Pill Nation, Daily Dose of Reality. I'm your host, Nathan Davis, and, well, didn't know if I was going to be able to do the show tonight. I woke up this morning with a sore throat, and started taking different things, even took nascent iodine, and that actually seemed to help. It helped clear me up, which is weird. I don't know why it would work, but hey, whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around right now, and even in the news a couple days ago, they were talking about superbugs being created by basically overuse of antibiotics and things of that nature. And I mean, this could spell a lot of disastrous things for humanity. I mean, you know, we're all in close quarters a lot, especially in cities and things of that nature, and if they're going to unleash something, or if something's going to come about because of overuse of antibiotics, it could be devastating. But this isn't the first time they brought this up. That's something that has been brought up a number of times, including in past years, that, ooh, we're using too many antibiotics and we're creating superbugs. And I think that we do use medications way too much. We don't allow the human immune system to work when it needs to. We just assist it all the time. So I think that does promote a weaker immune system. Not to mention getting all these vaccines that are, I don't see as being healthy. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, because we have Obamacare. And speaking of Obamacare, Obama is working with insurers so that those that do qualify for tax credits can bypass healthcare.gov, which is the only place they can get these tax credits, and go directly to the insurer and sign up and still receive these benefits. The reason being is the website still is not working correctly. Still, people aren't able to basically fill out all the information online. So he's working with insurers so that they can, bypass this. The whole thing is just a total, utter failure. And they're just grasping at straws trying to hold this legislation together that was doomed to fail from the beginning, and many people said that. Nancy Pelosi was on CBS the other night and was backpedaling as hard as she could. I've never seen a more bumbly interview in my life. The woman just bumbled through this interview because they kept hitting her with the fact that she said you can keep your insurance. She kept referring to grandfather clause and insurance that people got before 2010. And the interviewer kept saying people that got their insurance before 2010 have been canceled. In which case she said, well, unless it depends on if they had a pre-existing condition or not. But I don't think I, misspoke. She also talked about what she said when she said that you have to pass the bill before you can read what's in it. And they even played it for her, and she said, that's not what I meant. I was, it's something, I have no idea. The woman was just all over the place and basically building more and more lies because she never told the truth. I mean, this is the thing, is that when people lie, they have to build bigger lies to cover up those lies. And it's just this snowball effect, and we saw that in the interview on CBS. And if you didn't see it, go to YouTube, There's plenty of people that have uploaded it. The woman bumbled through the whole thing, and it just shows that they know they got caught in a massive lie. And here they're caught holding the ball. Now, these might be puppets. These might be people that do not have the power of making the decision-making of their own, what they're going to say. And it might be scripted. It might be something that somebody else sets up. But the thing of it is that they're left holding the ball, and they're responsible for it. Nancy Pelosi, Obama, all the people that signed this into law, that had their hands involved in it and even lied about it. Like Obama saying that you can keep your insurance, period. You can keep your doctor, period. And then it comes out that that was all a fabrication. Of course, he did, I will give it to him, stand up and apologize for that, but that doesn't, mean anything, because they're still going to push this forward. We lied. Oh, sorry. Well, we're still going to go forward with it, so sorry about that. So here we are. We're stuck with this legislation. It's not going to go away, and he has just made this law just a mess. It was going to be a mess in the first place, because you can't have that type of market manipulation, especially when you take risk management, which is basically what insurance is, out of the equation. Here they're taking on pure risk cases at the same rate as somebody that has no risk or minimal risk. That is something where you take a major factor out of insurance, which is risk management. And instead of going this route, we should be going the other direction, and we're not. And Nancy Pelosi and others have said they want a single-payer plan. Well, every country that has implemented a single-payer plan has seen a rise in taxes and a reduction in health care. Of course, you ask people from there, they don't see it unless they're unhealthy. Then they see the folly with the health care system. And speaking of our Obamacare, again, this is another thing that came out this week, that this has caused basically universities and colleges to do away with the bare minimal coverage that they were offering students. It was coverage that they were offering for $54 per semester, and it gave them $5,000 worth of medical coverage. Now, under the Affordable Care Act, they're going to either have to come up with a plan that's $900 per semester, which is a plan that's 1,500 times more expensive, or not offer anything at all. So here they're stuck between a rock and a hard place of offer really inflated coverage, or don't offer anything at all. This is crazy, and that's the thing, is that I watched a video, I think it was yesterday, where a woman went around interviewing students who had no idea that this has been done. And they're like, oh, I just found out about, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I mean, it just shows that they're so out of touch. Here's the next generation coming up, the scientists, the, politicians, the, people that are going to be influential in society that have no idea what's going on in society right at this moment. That's even affecting them. And that's the sad thing. Obamacare has been a big, I don't even know what to call it. It is just a horrible piece of legislation with 30,000 pages of regulations. Who has read those 30,000 pages of regulations? And you have people enforcing this law. Have they read all those regulations? I don't think so. There's not a person alive that's probably read all 30,000 pages and gone through them with a fine-tooth comb. But there will be watchdog groups that will come about, if they haven't been already, that will go through this. We'll have teams of people going through all these pages to make sure to see what's in there. And there's some things that are being found that are a little iffy. There was one, I can't remember what it was about, but they found it 3,500 pages in on the regulatory list. So, it's just going to get worse, people. Don't expect it to get better. Do not expect Obamacare to provide you beneficial health insurance. It's not. And it's just one of the things that have come about that's really leading to our downfall is as a sovereign nation. And I will get to that a little later. That's actually going to be the last 30 minutes of the show. So yeah, that and our monetary system, there's a number of things that are causing our downfall, but it's all strategic in a way. On to other news, why they really hate Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. Now, I'm not going to say this guy's a saint because he isn't, but he has helped Toronto a lot. He has cut taxes dramatically. He has, and this came out in Infowars.com, the student one came out in Huffington, the White House, insurance about the health care, about Obama helping out with the insurers, was CNBC. That way I can give credit where credit's due. But in this article, basically they're saying that he has done a lot. He's been very libertarian in his methodology. When he won his first election, he reduced taxes and city expenses, and he's been in since 2001 or 2000. In 2001, he advocated cutting limousines as a city perk and slashing each councilor's $200,000 budget used for travel and club memberships. Wow. That's a lot of money for that. And so he's wiped out a lot of perks and basically started saving that city tons of money. And here when you have a lot of people, I'm not saying that's the real reason that they're going after him, but, it is something that you look at and you see, okay, well, he has done a lot for the city of Toronto in fiscal savings. When you have a lot of people wanting to increase budgets, wanting to increase taxes, and here's a guy that's going in the opposite direction. So, yeah, he might be a very corrupt individual. He might have an addiction to crack and things like that, but he's not all bad. He's actually not a bad mayor from what they're finding out. And another one in InfoWars was about the pro wrestler Kane, who went after the TSA and was talking about how basically they are infringing hugely on people's rights. He even talked about an experience with a TSA agent where he offered him a pocket constitution that he had gotten from Young Americans for Liberty. Instead of taking the Constitution, he had to go to a supervisor to ask for permission before taking it. And he was pointing out that he swore an oath that included protecting and defending the Constitution, but he reluctantly took one. So it was kind of like this, you really don't know what your obligations are in your job, and that you are supposed to be upholding people's rights, and you're not. And I have another one in here. That's probably mixed in the bottom. Oh no. Yep. We got another article in here that's about the TSA that's very interesting. And one part, and this was very interesting, he said, I like to show people that at least there is a red pill. Jacobs noted after saying, and that's his name, his real name is Jacobs, is his last name, after saying that for him discovering Austrian economics was like walking from the Matrix-style sleep and going very deep down a rabbit hole. So he's into Austrian economics, just like Jesse Ventura, he's into that. He's into free markets as a whole. reducing taxes. He even sees the internet sales tax as an infringement on personal privacy. All kinds of different things. And here's this man that people just see as this colossal red entity in the ring, and he's actually a highly intelligent libertarian that sees a lot of the injustices that go on to our liberties daily. He even backed Congressman Ron Paul in 2012. So, very interesting article as well on Infowars.com. This other one was on Infowars.com as well with regards to the TSA. A researcher makes a bomb, makes bombs, guns using airport gift shop items. So he went into the gift shops, which are beyond the security measures, and was able to purchase items that could be used to make a bomb, and also other weaponry like nunchucks. So they called it MacGyver-esque. But basically what he did was he got a coffee mug, a steel coffee mug, two lithium batteries, what was the other? A condom that he filled with water, and Axe body spray. And what he did was he took the condom, filled it with water, he put that in the lid and held it in place with the little open and close nozzle for the coffee mug. In the coffee mug, he put the Axe body spray with the two batteries, but he scored the batteries' outer husk and separated a bit to expose the lithium. That's important here. And placed them inside of there. And what happens is that when the lithium came in contact with the water, it caused a violent reaction, which caused an explosion, and the can of Axe body spray just accelerated because it created a fireball, because there is, propellant that is flammable in Axe body spray. So he was able to make a sizable fireball, and of course you, with the explosive force, turn the coffee mug into shrapnel. So this would make an effective little bomb that could be used to hurt different people. And it was a time bomb. It worked kind of like a grenade because he just shook it to drop the water into the coffee mug. Then he threw it, and the reaction happened, and within a few seconds the coffee mug exploded. There also talks about how he made nunchucks using dental floss and several magazines. He made blowguns. Let's see. He made blowguns, firearms, and even incendiary devices using common objects regularly found after TSA screening checkpoints. So it just shows that it's all a farce. That this TSA nonsense, it doesn't make any sense, because if you have terrorists out there that really want to cause devastating damage, they're going to research other ways and other means, because, they're making them out to be fairly intelligent people. 9/11, 4 planes were hijacked. It's the first time ever that 4 planes simultaneously were hijacked successfully and met their target. Which that's a conspiracy we will go into later. But the fact is that here he's showing the fact that putting these security points into in the airports is not really protecting the airports, because there are ways that they can make dangerous devices using things that are in the airport through gift shops. Now, what I think is going to happen is more than likely they're going to take gift shops out of these airports and basically say, well, now we've solved that problem. Instead of understanding that really there hasn't been any attempts through the airlines in a number of years through terrorist attacks, no successful ones since 9/11, and even before 9/11 we didn't have really that many terrorists using airplanes in that manner. So really the need for the TSA is not substantiated here. So, I mean, they have a show on Travel Channel. I kind of got upset with Travel Channel because they put that show about the Florida airport. I don't watch it because I want it to go off the air. I think it's just basically propaganda to make it look like, hey, we're doing our job. But it just basically makes it look like, they're doing a lot more than what they are that couldn't be done by just regular security. Regular security that was there before. That it wasn't government organized security. So that's the thing that I get, that I have a problem with, is that they're making this out to be like, oh, we need these people because they're if we didn't have them, we'd have planes running into buildings all the time. And that's just not founded. We take, it's kind of like the school shootings and the mass shootings, and they blow it up on the news like, good little puppets, make it out like we're in grave danger, but what they don't tell you is that's only about 3% of the total homicides and murders in this country committed with firearms. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know the statistical information about these events, that they're not commonplace. Because they want you to overreact. They want an emotional response from you. They don't want you to logically think about it. They don't want you to critically think about it. They don't want you to go out and do your own research. For God's sake, that's a horrible thing. Don't do that. And in this day and age, I mean, you can do your own research, folks. It's called the internet. Now, I'm not saying believe everything you read on the internet, because trust me, there's a lot of it out there that, you need to be mindful of. But in the same way, there's watchdog groups that you can go to that can kind of help you figure out where you need to go. But use multiple sources. You have to, in order to really get a consensus of what's going on. You'll never get the full picture. It's very, very difficult. But you can kind of get a consensus of what's going on. Or a census. I think that it's going to get harder and harder in the future, if things keep going the way they are, for information to come available in this country, because we're already seeing it happen on YouTube. I've seen it. YouTube has this documentary called Hacking Democracy. It's about the faulty voting system in this country, using electronic voting systems, and everything I've been saying. It's in this documentary that I found about a couple weeks ago, and you can't get the full documentary on YouTube. It's blocked. They blocked it, and there's a lot of other stuff that's starting to be blocked. And it says it's blocked in your country, which means you can go to another country and watch it, but in the U.S. it's, banned. That's a scary thing. Our country's basically picking and choosing what can be presented to the public and what can't. The freedom of information is being hindered greatly. They're trying to stop the free press. They're trying to stop, shows that come out on the air or over the internet that present things that are not being presented by the mainstream media. They're trying to silence voices that talk out against them. And they're going to keep doing so. They're going to tighten the noose more and more each year and make it harder. And the only ones that are going to survive are the ones that are totally in the pocket of the government for the time being. But if you speak out, if you say anything that's radical, you'll be targeted. And they're targeting people all the time. But people don't want to, whatever. I mean, when the NSA spying came out, really there was not much of a reaction this time. When it came out under Bush, there was a volatile reaction. And it just shows, because of the person that's in office, makes all the difference in the world. And they know this. I saw somebody posted, basically, that they thought that the reason most people were against Obama and a lot of things that he does is not because he's wrong, but because he's black. And I said, a lot of the stuff that he's doing was done under Bush, and there were a lot of people, black people, that were against what he was doing, but nobody turned to them and said they were racist. And that's the thing, is that it's not really about race here. It's about wrong versus right. And a lot of the things he is doing are totally wrong. And I think the powers that be knew that if they put a person in office, a black person in office, that people would be afraid to come up against him. They would be afraid to speak out against him because they would be labeled a racist. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of people are afraid to stand up to him and say anything negative about him because of being labeled. And that's a big problem here. But we do have a glimmer of hope, and I hope that this is the first domino getting into this. They're making grounds to impeach Eric Holder. I'm hoping he's the first domino to go, because in reality, this is showing that people are so fed up with what's going on, that they're so tired of it, that they're willing to put their reputation on the line. They're willing to be called a racist in order to do what's right. And what's right here is to kick these people out because they are doing bad things. And this is being presented by Representative Pete Olson. He's a Republican from Texas. He's introducing an article. I think he introduced it today, or he's introducing it tomorrow. Basically to step up grounds to impeach Eric Holder. And before it was even presented, it already had 9 people from the House willing to go for this. So hopefully it goes through. Hopefully it goes through. Because there's a lot of negative and a lot of shady things that Eric Holder's been doing. He's kind of like the muscle man that goes after anybody that doesn't like what Obama's doing. And the House of Representatives is doing an investigation, which started today, that they're trying to get information on Fast and Furious and find out what really happened there, what was the failure, if you want to call it a failure. I'm sure that they did what they wanted to do, but this came out in Politico, and the one about him being impeached came out in AmericanOverlook.com. But this one on Politico goes over, basically he wants to appeal the House of Representatives seeking to enforce subpoenas for documents related to controversial Operation Fast and Furious gun investigation. And he is basically appealing that. He doesn't want this information to go out. And a federal judge has refused it. So they're going to move forward. They're going to get these documents. I mean, he's probably trying to destroy them as fast as he can, or he's trying to hide them, one or the other. But he's making sure that this information doesn't get out, or he's trying to make sure it doesn't get out. And we'll see what's presented, what he will present to the House of Representatives as far as this information goes. And another coffin nail has been created with that, I hope. And this was in the news, and I think a lot of people saw this, is that a cop fired on a minivan full of kids. Now, granted, the woman was wrong in how she responded. She did get in the car, and she did drive away. They pulled her back over later, but that's not the point. The point is that when she pulled away, one of the responding cops to the police officer that was first on scene pulled out his gun and started shooting at the minivan that was full of children. And her 14-year-old got out to defend his mother when she was being arrested, and he got arrested as well. But the fact of the matter is that there were 2 wrongs here. The main wrong was that the cop pulled his gun and fired it at this minivan. The police officers are acting very aggressive nowadays. There's more and more cases like this. It's not something that, you say, oh, well, you're just looking for negatives. No, it's not that hard. They're happening all over the place. You see it all the time. And, excuse me, oof. And basically, they got an itchy trigger finger. They are more wanting to fire on you than, do anything else. There's more people getting tased, getting pepper sprayed, and they've reclassified those devices as non-lethal instead of less lethal, which is what they came out as. And so they use them as such, even though there's a lot of information that says that, there is a possibility that they could kill people. And they have. So, yeah, I mean, you watch the video, it's scary. I mean, your mouth drops open because, while she shouldn't have sped away, and it wasn't a reasonable way of handling the situation, the reactions by the police officers was just, totally in the wrong. And, you look at these videos, and then you look at the comments, and there's certain people sitting there saying, oh, well, she shouldn't have run, and the police officer's trying to stop her from hurting other people. And, of course, one person wrote, by shooting bullets that could hit other, people driving down the road. That doesn't make sense. That's not how you handle it. A lot of it they used to do is if somebody ran, they'd have an officer down the way they'd call. He'd throw out a spike strip right when the car got near, run over the spike strip that would, disable the vehicle, and then they pull them over. So that's how they usually handled it. Now it's, pull gun, shoot. Look at what happened in Washington, D.C. Look what happened in several other places. Where there was one with a kid that his father called the cops. I told this on another show, where his father called the police to teach him a lesson, and he, the police tried to pull him over. He bolted. Again, not the best response, but still. And they try to box him in. They couldn't box him in, so the police officer gets out of the car and shoots the kid. That's not how they used to handle these things. That's not how they used to handle these type of situations. Firing on a civilian was the last resort. Now it seems like it's close to the first. And the last report I want to talk about is the new Xbox One can see through your clothes, basically. And this doesn't surprise me at all, because when the first Sony night vision camcorder came out, it was found that there was an issue. There was a filtering issue with the camera. It basically allowed people to see through clothes. Now, not all the ones that went out with this filtering issue came back in. There's certain ones that still are floating around. But it showed that this IR technology had the ability to penetrate clothing and show what's underneath. And these new Xbox One consoles have a similar technology. And the guy that's in the video that was demonstrating it says that, you can definitely see his penis in this video, because they were demonstrating it, and basically he came out later on saying you could see his genitalia outlined, and he was embarrassed about that during the demo. He didn't know that the technology had that ability. And this is, I have friends that want me to buy this, and I'm like, no, I don't have the money, first off. Second off, I wouldn't buy it because, this is a real privacy issue. You're allowing a camera that has to be attached to this all the time. Basically, it's watching you. You can't run the Xbox One without the camera. It will not work, first off. Second off, you have to stand in front of it, and the Xbox has to recognize you before you can work with it. So there's all this recognition, software built into this. And they're saying that the camera has to be attached so that you can, work with, so that you can use it, so it can detect when you're motioning for it to turn on or whatever. All these type of ludicrous things. I mean, there's no need for this. You also have to check in every 24 hours, I think, to keep your account active or something. There's a 24-hour, every 24 hours you have to turn the system on. Another thing is that if you loan out games, the person that gets the game is charged a fee for using the game. Instead of, it used to be you loan a game to somebody and, they use it and give it back. Well, this one, if you loan out a game, that person is charged for it. You have to have an Xbox Live account, which means you're charged $10 a month or $100 or whatever it is per year. I just canceled mine for my Xbox 360 because I don't play it that often, but I can use my Xbox still without an Xbox Live account. With this new one, you can't. You can't use it without having that account, and you can't use it without the camera. It seems like a major privacy issue, but people are buying them left and right. So, with the PlayStation 4, you don't need this. So, it's just a sad state of affairs with this technology. And I mean, that's the thing, is that, we're getting to a more technologically advanced society, and that's all well and good and great, but with the government intrusion, we need to be careful with that. And I want to get into, for the last half an hour, basically our country's sovereignty, and I think it's being really tested. There was one article I forgot. I guess I didn't print it out. Hold on. And this really has a lot of implications. And that's really about immigration. And what we're seeing with immigration is they're giving a lot more privileges to illegal immigrants. In Washington, D.C., they're giving illegal immigrants driver's license. That was just legislation just passed by their mayor. So, and they're sitting there, and there's everybody that's for it in Washington, D.C. Go figure. But what I think is going on is that they're allowing these type of things to occur because we're going to slowly start seeing the borders between Mexico and Canada dissipate. And we're really edging towards a American Union, similar to the European Union, a blurring of lines between our currency, commerce, and immigration. And we're seeing it now. Illegal immigrants, have access to health care, have access now to licenses in Washington, D.C., have access to all kinds of stuff. There is even places where illegal immigrants are voting. People, oh no, that's not happening. But this is a blurring of lines. And the reason is so that they can, kind of eventually bring it into a American Union, and we'll start seeing the dissolving of the dollar, which will happen anyway because it's losing its standing, and going to a more globalized government. And that's a scary thing. I mean, Mexico has a lot of issues with the drug cartels and things of that nature. Now they've legalized certain small quantities of drugs. They probably got tired of us waiting for us to do that. But the thing of it is that with these blurring of lines, with the allotment of illegal immigrants, they're kind of allowing a lot more trafficking of all types to occur over these borders. And we're going to see more of it, especially if there hasn't been any law change. And we haven't seen any real law change here. But we have seen law change when it comes to immigration. We have seen law change when it comes to illegal immigrants and how they're treated. We're seeing a reduction in the security of our borders. You know, the fences are not maintained. We don't see, any kind of real force down on the borders guarding against these immigrants from coming across. And while I think that we should have, free trade and free migration of immigrants, I think that, if we were in a perfect society that was, free markets, free everything, it would be less of an issue because there would not be such hostilities going on. But the reason that we have these hostilities is because of the law creation that has been created over time. And then you add on top of that just the degradation of how illegal immigrants are handled. They're not treated as such. They're not treated as they're breaking the law. They're treated as, somebody that's been wronged. And here their benefits are going up while ours are dwindling and being dried up. I mean, they're given all kinds of governmental benefits while ours are taken away. And so tax dollars are going for illegal immigrant services. We need to really change things in this country. And we need to change how we handle immigration. I think that a lot of the reasons that we see, higher levels of illegal immigrants is the fact that we have such a complicated process to reach citizenship in this country. It's not a cut and dry issue. But we should not start laxing things on illegal immigrants when we're not laxing anything with people going through the legal process. They're making it more difficult there, which is forcing more illegal immigration. And then you add on top of that trafficking issues because the laws haven't, changed. And it causes a whole big mess. And it seems like either you want that to happen or you are just entirely dumb. Either our government is entirely dumb or they really want this to happen because they're pushing towards a unionization of Canada, the United States, and Mexico. And this is a push towards globalization and a global government, which would be fine if it was done so not to create a more authoritative state of things. And we're seeing a more authoritative state come about. So I would be fine for global government if it was done so for the betterment of everyone. It's not being done that way. It's being created in order to create more authority and consolidate authority and create more dictatorial powers. We're seeing it in our own government. I mean, look at what we have now. They're militarizing our police force left and right. I mean, there's people that have been in the Army and the Marines that say that they're wearing the same gear they wore in Iraq and Afghanistan. Why are they, basically treating us like we are, the enemy, an enemy in a war? And that's how we're being treated. And that's scary. I mean, that should scare everybody that, they've militarized our police force. In Arizona, they have a Humvee that's decked out better than some Humvees in Iraq and Afghanistan. The only way in and out of that Humvee is the back door. It is bomb-proof. You can shoot a rocket at it. You can do all kinds of stuff to it, and it comes out unscathed. And they're saying that's for issuing warrants. Issuing warrants. Where are you going to issue warrants that you would need such a vehicle? And they're wearing full gear, again, militarized gear, to what they say is issue warrants. And of course you've got these police officers that just follow orders, that do not understand that their oath was to the Constitution. They were to serve and protect the Constitution. They take a similar oath to the militaries. And you have more and more of them saying, well, this is the law, these are my orders, not realizing that no, your first line of duty is to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, which means serve the people and protect their rights. And when I see police officers do that, I applaud them. There was one that in an airport, can't remember which airport, where the head of the TSA was telling him to kick these people out that were handing out pamphlets about how to basically prevent themselves from being subject to body scans and body searches. And the officer said, I can't do that. That's, their First Amendment right. They have a right to be here. They have a right to hand out this literature against, government officials. That's their right. I cannot do that. And it really upset this official, but, he backed down because this officer upheld the Constitution and did what was right. And so I applaud officers that do that. I applaud anybody that does that. Military, police, everyday citizen. When you realize what rights are and what you need to do to defend them, I applaud that. I wish people in Congress and, in the administration would do that, but of course, they're puppets. People say, oh, that's a conspiracy, blah, 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 about the elite. Well, no, you do have corporate interests. Who do you think they're going to be more for? You that gave $5 to the campaign, or, Goldman Sachs, who gave umpteen million, not only directly to the campaign, but through various PACs. Or Monsanto, who basically has gotten all kinds of official protection from any type of labeling of their products that have genetic modification and other genetic labs. But they gave millions of dollars, not only to the campaigns, but to the PACs. They didn't give just to Obama, but they gave the majority of funding to him, and they gave around half to Mitt Romney. And the reason is that they were hedging their bets that Obama would win. Or they knew he would win because of the rigging of elections. We're seeing that more and more. Your integrity of vote is not there. There is no integrity in your vote. You are just a number that they can assign to whoever they want through these systems. Once you take the paper out, it's so much easier to do because you're dealing with virtual tallies that can be altered whenever they want them to be. And this has been proven time and time again, that these systems can be readily hacked. And the producers of these touchscreen voting machines don't want that to get out. But it's true. And so there's no integrity with our voting system. There's no integrity with our officials either, but we don't get the choice that we think we do. With mine, you get this big, huge SIM card looking thing. You go over to the thing, you put the card in, and it comes up with your name and a list of those you can vote on. You touch the screen, go through the different selections for the different offices, and then you hit finish. It pops the card out, you hand it to the person, and that's it. And supposedly your vote was registered under what you want. Now, I don't think it is. I think that they manipulate the numbers in a way that makes sure that so-and-so will win by a certain number of votes. They're going to make it such a narrow margin because they know if they didn't, it would be obvious. So they make it a narrow margin win. A lot of the elections over the last, really 12 years have been narrow margin wins. except for, I guess, Obama in his first one. But even then, I think, there could have been voter manipulation. But they probably were like, you know what, this one, we probably don't need it. Because we've done such a good job, pumping this guy up and making him seem like a legitimate, candidate. Even though he came out of nowhere, nobody knew who he was, and he really hadn't served that long in office. Of course, they say, well, he made a great speech in 2004. Okay. That doesn't mean anything. One great speech does not mean you're going to win. One great speech does not mean that you should be running for president 4 years later when you just got on the scene and you're still a freshman senator. So that's the thing, is that, he ran for, not saying that somebody, with no political experience can't get in, but you're more than likely not going to be a very good president. Case in point, what's going on now. So, I think that we have to realize the direction that they're going. And I don't think everybody fully understands it, that are even involved in it. I talked to a friend that was in the military, and he was in the Navy, and he talked about, during the Vietnam War, where they would, cross the border, they do secret rendezvous. He said, we didn't know what was going on, but he said the upper officials did. We were just the couriers. And it was secret meetings nobody knew about. They handed off the stuff and left. Didn't even know what they had. And so this kind of secret, stuff has been going on. Compartmentalizing has been going on for, 100 years or so. Well, not 100 years, but close to it. And so basically making sure that those involved don't know what's going on, but still do their job, because it's important. And that's the problem is that, not everybody involved in the chain of command, not everybody involved in these events know what's going on. And so it's much easier for the people at the top to manipulate the system and make sure that their plans get implemented correctly, because everybody does their job, they just don't know what the end result is. And that should scare people. That really should scare people into realizing that something needs to be done. We need to undermine their plans in whatever way we can. Those in the military that are given orders that are unconstitutional or unlawful shouldn't follow them. If you're threatened with court-martial, fight it. Fight it in a public arena if you have to. Let people know what's going on. When patriots become terrorists, then we know that the ones in power are the enemy. They're the ones that are criminal. Edward Snowden wasn't a criminal. He's not a criminal. He's presenting things, leaking them out. He's doing it in his own way for his own protection. He's not going to give everything out all at once because he knows that his usefulness is over. So he's got a stockpile of information and he's giving it out in piecemeal because that's his protection. Which he needs a lot of it now. But he's been made by our government to be an enemy, a terrorist, because he presented the truth. And there are those that sit there and say, oh yes he is, because he's hurt our national security. No, the people that did these things hurt our national security by doing those type of things. Obama uses drones like they're going out of style. I was telling somebody the other day, watching that video that was leaked out by, I believe, Snowden, of these drones hitting these different people like reporters and the van that had 2 kids in it, and you watch that and your mouth drops open and you listen to the commentary and you become angry because these kids that are doing this don't understand. They look at the screen that has these, little tiny, human representations, because really they're using like a thermal imager. They're not, looking at it live and in full color. They're looking at these human representations as almost like a video game. And it desensitizes them to the actions that they're taking. It dehumanizes the event. And it detaches them from the reality of their actions. During war, it used to be face-to-face. You saw, the pain that you caused. You saw the death. You saw the hardship that was created. You saw the devastation. Now you're looking at it on a monitor, and you're detached from the event. And so you make snide little comments like, well, they shouldn't have brought their kids to a war zone, without realizing that the war zone was created by them, not the people on the ground. I don't blame video games in a lot of sense, but I think it does prepare these, young individuals for that type of combat, and it has preparedly desensitized them for that type of combat. And that's the sad thing. I mean, we really have dehumanized ourselves. I mean, it's really good to see when Make-A-Wish Foundation makes a little boy's dream come true of turning San Francisco into Gotham City, and he becomes Batboy. Of course, the president took the opportunity to use that in his advantage, but of course, he didn't play along with it, and it just came off as like, look at me, I'm jumping in here and trying to get some, free publicity. And it makes you wonder, is this all a diversion, a setup? Are they trying to, keep us from looking at somewhere else? And that's a sad thing to be thinking, but, we have to think about that in this day and age. But it was really good to see. It was really good to see this kid that had leukemia, that is, in remission, that has won his battle so far. For so many people to come together to make his day so great. That was good to see. It was good to see that there's still some humanity left in America. And that's what we need. We need, humanity to fight this corporate takeover, this globalist takeover. When our government loses its sovereignty, when our country loses its sovereignty, when the Constitution has no meaning, that's the scary part. That's when we lose our freedom. We lose our liberty. We lose our humanity. We lose our identity. I mean, because being American is an identity as well. It's not just a label. It's not just where you're from. It is who you are. Is part of your identity. And they're taking that from us. They're dehumanizing us. And I think we need to really be careful, because in the future, those that fight tyranny may be up against a bigger juggernaut than what we have now, and may be facing indefinite detention in FEMA camps, where their entire freedom is taken away because they dared to stand up against it. Or they're put in re-education camps. And it's really scary when we're starting to see things that, are in the novel, 1984. It does seem like these people are using that as a guide. I mean, we have Big Brother watching over us. We have, the education system being turned into re-education of people. I mean, they're really trying to take our kids and conform them to this, ideal, this view, this Marxist view, that socialism is okay. We've become Russia. Russia's freer than we are now. That's a scary thing. It's something to think about. And with that, I'm going to leave you. Think about that, though. Think about where we're going. Think about the fact that we've blurred the borders, with Mexico and Canada. And be prepared. Be prepared for them to come knocking on your door. It's a scary time we're living in. We have an authoritative government, and there's so many of the masses that do not see it. Get out there, wake people up. Make them realize that the direction we're going in is not the right one. And they should stop lying to themselves to save face. Have a good night, and thanks for listening.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.